Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. The sun is out here, and sun, steak, and steel. Good morning. Let's have a little roll call this morning. Okay, who do we see here? Who's up numero uno this morning? Jen from Cape Breton, you're number one. Brahim, good morning. Andrea, Niagara Falls. Sandra, Aurelia. Frida, how are you? Yalan, bonjour. Mike from Norland, good morning. Nick, how are you? Appreciate you guys. Our staff, Georgie, Halifax. Micheline, bonjour. Diane, good morning. Bonnie and Alicia from North Bay. Fran from Orangeville, good morning. And Laurie, Ventura, California. Jordan, good morning. How is you? Wendy, Markham. Karen, Little Britain. Morris from North Bay. How are you? Donna. Mary, good morning. And Carolyn from Edmonton, good morning. Jocelyn, Heather, and Jean, and Donna, good morning. And Karen from Indianapolis. Okay, Laurie, good morning. Kevin from Oshawa. Nellie and Gail, Saskatchewan. Carol from London, Ontario. LaShawn, Greenville, Texas. Well, good morning. Fran from Valcarin. Vanda, PEI. And from Montreal, Julie. Well, good morning. Sharon from Virginia. Renee from Halifax. Lorraine from British Columbia. And Sandy from Washington State. Cindy. Leela. Okay, a couple more and we got to get going. Maria, Oshawa. And Sherry. Oh, I want to sing Sherry. You have no idea. Anne, Moncton, New Brunswick. And Bill, good morning. April, you're the last one as we get started here this morning. It's hard to change a leper's spots. That's what I'm saying this morning because yesterday, 2 new studies came out. And I'm not optimistic that even though they were very conclusive, it's hard to change a leper's spots, hard to change people's minds, okay? Now, let me introduce to you the first one. I've talked to you about this in the past, but I think if you were to look at probably over the years, the best-selling meds ever, well, one in terms of dollars, and the other one in terms of numbers, what would your guesses be? Okay? One in medication, in terms of dollars, revenues brought in. There's a number one on the hit parade. No drug has ever brought in as much revenue as that. And I'm waiting. Let's see if you got it right here. Okay? Let's see. Good morning, everybody. And Annette, you got it right. Lipitor. You got it right. The number one selling medication of all time is Lipitor. Sherry, you got it right. And, okay, did I miss you, Joss? Marilyn, you got it right. Sandra, you got it right. Lorna, you got it right. Because you guys are smart. You guys listen. Holly, you got it right. Cholesterol medication. Statin drug. Chantal, you got it right. Isn't that amazing? Karen, you got it right. Okay? So, you guys listen, okay? You listen, Linda. Nellie, you got it right. Gloria, you're not far off, but okay. And Kevin, you got it right. Cholesterol medication. The number one selling medication of all time in terms of revenue is a statin drug called Lipitor. Okay? And, okay, now I'm going to ask you the number one selling medication over the counter, OTC medication of all time in terms of numbers, not revenue, numbers. Okay, let me see if you got that answer right, because 2 studies came out on these medications. Okay, let's see. The number one in terms of numbers, all time. Sue says Advil, you're not far. Rosa says Tylenol, you're not far off. Carol, Tylenol, you're not far off. Xanax, Sandy, good. Jocelyn, metformin, this is over the counter. June says Tylenol. Nah, you're close. You guys are close. Everybody's saying Tylenol. You're close, but it's not Tylenol. Lori, you got it. It's aspirin. Okay? Now, I'm not saying ASA, you got it, Jeannie. Motrin, ibuprofen. I love the way you guys think, because you think along with me. Okay? Cheryl says ibuprofen. Prilosec, Margie. No, guys, this is aspirin. Okay? Aspirin. And aspirin's been around a long time. You guys got it. Aspirin. Okay? And Kevin says baby aspirin. Yep. Okay? And all of your other guesses are very, very, very close. Okay? Because there's a lot of that. But 2 new studies came out. And these were gold standard review studies. You know what that means? The gold standard for studies is when you look at all the studies and you come to conclusions based on not a small sample, but looking at a wide sample of studies and analyzing the data of those studies and then coming to a conclusion. Now listen to the conclusion. And this is why I'm saying it's hard to change a leopard spot, okay? 20 million people take aspirin every day. 20 million, still. Now, if I'd have to go find it for you, it's got to be more than 5 years ago. I had over 1 million hits on a little video I did, a teaching on aspirin. Because the FDA had come out and said, we no longer recommend it on a daily basis to prevent heart attacks and strokes. The FDA, after looking at studies long-term, said, nah, aspirin, it's not worth it, is what they said. Why? Because the side effects outweigh the benefits. Now, folks, listen to me for a minute, please. This is for educational purposes only. You know, I'm not giving you advice. I'm telling you what the studies have said. This was the FDA probably 6-7 years ago that I did that video with over 1 million hits I got on that. It was obviously very popular. People didn't realize. But even today, people don't get the memo. They still take an aspirin every day. And the FDA said, don't do it. But doctors, when they get into a rut, it's hard for them to change. And even people, it's not hurting me. It must be giving me protection. Well, now a new study has come out confirming what the FDA said. They did a gold standard analysis of all the studies on aspirin and said, you know what? It doesn't do what it says it does. It doesn't prevent anything. Now, here is my little asterisk or disclaimer. I'm telling you, if you have aspirin and you keep it handy, at the sign of a stroke or heart attack, it's a good thing to take an aspirin. The studies agree with that. But not to prevent it. They say it doesn't work. It's not working. It doesn't do what it says it does. And yet this is in the psyche, in the craw of people. And again, I'm not telling you not to take aspirin. I'm telling you what the studies are showing. It doesn't do what it says it does. And in this review of all the studies, here's what they say about aspirin and its side effects. Okay? One of the biggest ones, and this is a silent one, because you don't know it till it's too late. GI, gastrointestinal bleeding. They say it's a lot more common than people think. Number one. Number two, people who are on aspirin on a daily basis are much more susceptible to macular degeneration. It was never intended to take long term. Aspirin was never intended. I know a lot of people, they take a baby aspirin, 81 milligram aspirin. And, well, I haven't had a stroke, so it must be working. They say it doesn't. It doesn't work. Not long term. It's not meant for that. But like I said, I'm not crazy when I say I don't think it's going to change much. But people got this ingrained. Now, maybe the new generation will not be taking aspirin. But I know my parents' generation and my generation were aspirin because they were aspirin hooked, if I can say that word. Because they believed it was good for them. Tinnitus. Big side effect. I'm just reading the results of the study. Millions of people get tinnitus every year because they take aspirin. And they get hearing loss. Your risk of pancreatic cancer rises. The risk of acid reflux rises. Asthma, side effect of aspirin. Kidney damage. Liver problems. Anemia. The 9 things that they listed in this study. That people, the side effects of aspirin. And again, the FDA came to the conclusion years ago. It surprised me when they did. I never thought the FDA would ever say anything like that. There must have been a lot of pressure on them not to say it, but they said it. The risks outweigh, that was the headline, the risks outweigh the benefits of aspirin. Now let me clue you in on, because what is aspirin supposedly doing on a daily basis? I mean, you can take aspirin for pain, but most people don't take aspirin for pain. They take Tylenol. They take Advil. right? So aspirin was taken to prevent heart attacks and strokes. That really is the modus operandi of aspirin. And that's what they pushed and pushed and pushed. What is it supposed to do? It's supposed to thin your blood. It's supposed to thin out those platelets that clot your blood, therefore decreasing your risk of stroke and heart attack. But I've said this for years, and I will say it to you again. There is nothing that will thin your blood and make your blood flow more than aspirin. Water. Aspirin. Water. Vitamin W. I used to prove it to people all the time because I would measure viscosity, the thickness of blood. And a lot of people, they have no idea. They walk around with molasses in their bloodstream. Very, very sticky blood. Very sticky blood. And they don't even realize it. You know, a lot of times there's no symptoms. They don't sense it. And I used to tell people, and listen, I said, you know, I would often turn, and a lot of people were in that boat. A lot of people. It was shocking the amounts of people. I said, my friend, you're not drinking enough water. Instead of taking a med, why don't you use God's med? Water. Because I could show them the difference. You need water. You have 60,000 miles of blood vessels, 1.5 times around the equator. You got a lot of blood vessels, and your heart needs to push that 100,000 times a day. Okay? Like your heart pumps. It pumps. And you make it easier to pump that blood through your blood vessels when you drink water. And only water is water. Only water gets to the bloodstream. And it'll get there in nanoseconds when you drink it. So like for me, that was the alternative. When the FDA came out with that, I said, well, here's what I've been telling people for years. I never told people not to take medication unless they were my patients, and you consult with your physician. I don't tell people not to take their meds. I don't do that. I give information. A lot of people walk around with blood as thick as molasses, and they don't know it. They're much more susceptible to stroke. They're much more susceptible to heart attacks. And wouldn't it be nice if we had a little light on top of our heads that would flash, please add water, please add water. And it used to shock people. It used to shock people. And, some people say, well, Doc, I drink. I know you drink. I know you drink. but that's not thinning your blood. Only water will thin your blood. Naturally. With no side effects. Only water will thin your blood. And dehydration is very, very serious. It's very serious. And most people don't realize that they walk around, they're dehydrated. And they're missing out. So that was the study on aspirin. Kind of interesting. And again, I'm just telling you, it's hard to change a leopard's spots. It's hard. Because people have this ingrained in them. Okay? Up to you. It's up to you. Okay? Now, let me tell you about the statin drug study that came out. Okay? The cholesterol study. And isn't that interesting on this? There's a lot of pressure on people to get on statin drugs. And they're showing, again, that statin drugs, okay, and again, these are a gold standard review of studies on statin drugs. Just came out, hot off the presses. They're not near as effective at preventing what they say they do. Heart attacks and strokes. Like aspirin. Now the FDA hasn't made any announcement on statin drugs, and don't hold your breath. Remember what I said, and remember what you know. Statin drugs, the #1 revenue producer of all time is a statin drug. Based on cholesterol is the boogeyman. Cholesterol is the boogeyman. Now, you have to undo biochemistry to believe that. You have to undo it. You have to take biochemistry and say, well, that's not true. What I learned in biochemistry can't be true. If you think about it. Because cholesterol is not your enemy, it's your friend. Cholesterol is not your enemy, it's your friend. It does a lot of things, cholesterol. First of all, you can't absorb vitamin D properly. Because cholesterol is a hormone, and so is vitamin D. It really is a hormone. I know we give it a vitamin status, the sun, but it is a hormone. You're a human solar panel. But without cholesterol, you can't even absorb it. Now, here is stuff that you guys already know, but I'm going to say it again. 85% of your cholesterol comes from 85% of your cholesterol comes from blank. What's the answer to that? Your body makes it. 85%. You are responsible for 15%. Okay? The sovereignty of God and the free will of man. I love that. 85%. And you know how I always say that. Like, God don't trust you. I think he looked down on the corridors of time and said, these people are literally going to get bamboozled and stop eating cholesterol. Because cholesterol, my friend, as far as eating cholesterol, is only found in the animal kingdom. There's no cholesterol in plants. Okay? There's just none. Every cell in your body needs cholesterol. Every cell. They sort of, what I say, they waterproof your cells. You need water, you can't live without it. But cholesterol keeps your cells waterproof so there's no damage from water. Your cell membrane is made up of cholesterol. Your brain is made up of cholesterol. Your hormones are transported by and made of cholesterol. Your neurological system is made up of cholesterol. Why is it the boogeyman? It's not the boogeyman. And again, every day, 7 days a week, every day, 7 days a week, I get this sent to me. Doc, my doc wants me to get my cholesterol down. Why? Why do you want to get your cholesterol down? I'm aiming to get your cholesterol up. And my friend, I'm just going to say this. You can disagree with me, but here's what I say. There's no such thing as bad cholesterol. There's no such thing. And I know they talk about lipoproteins and they talk about oxidized LDL and the reason they do it. And guys, you have to understand, I watched it happen. I saw it happening. And what? Why do you want to get your cholesterol down? In the 70s. It even started earlier in that. Really started in 1958 with the serial killer of all time, Dr. Ansel Keys. He started the cholesterol hoax. And by 1965, he was on the cover of Time magazine. And the world was shifting. They took it, hook, line, and sinker. And the food industry got involved. And they changed our way of eating. Fat, free. Lower cholesterol. Stop eating bacon and eggs. You need to eat our cereals. Stop eating butter. You need margarine. They got a hold of McDonald's and said, quit cooking with lard. You got to use our seed oils. It was all of it was based on cholesterol. And then, can you imagine the pharmaceutical industry? They got involved big time. And they said, we have found a medication that will lower cholesterol. And thus you saw statin drugs created based on a false premise. It's a false premise. And the full weight of the government, the full weight of the media, the full weight of all the colleges of physicians and surgeons, the full weight of dietitians, came and they got into sync together, and the rest really is history. And boy, oh boy, is that ever hard to undo in people's minds. They look at a piece of meat, go to the grocery store, look at a piece of meat, and put yourself in other people's position. They look at meat and they go, I better limit that. Especially the fatty meat, because that's going to elevate my cholesterol. True or false? Is that the way the world thinks? Imagine taking the world and duping it. That's exactly what happened. And here's what the study is saying, okay? The review of all the studies. Lowering cholesterol, which listen, by the way, statin drugs work. They work. They work. But they don't fix anything. They work. They lower your cholesterol. They lower your cholesterol. I'm trying to raise your cholesterol. I'm aiming at raising cholesterol, not lowering it. I don't want to lower your cholesterol. I'm trying to raise it and lower your triglycerides. Those are fat balls, and that's bad fat. Triglycerides come from sugar, not fat. That should turn the world upside down. But like I said, I'm not optimistic. And then they went in this study, again, they're just saying that the review of studies have shown, yes, it's lowering cholesterol, but it's not lowering the risk of heart attacks or strokes. As a matter of fact, they haven't even made a dent. But if you go to 99.9, and I say this, and I'll double down on this statement, if you go to 99.9 of physicians in North America, and I'm sure all over the Western world, they got no issue with prescribing statin drugs, cholesterol-lowering medication. They bought it. Amazing. Amazing. I remember a cardiologist, real good guy, and he was saying to me, Doc, if I don't give out statin drugs when someone has a heart attack, I'll lose my license. Man, the pressure they put on physicians. What? It didn't even cause the heart attack in the first place. Yeah, I know. There's not too many that were like that. Incredible, isn't it? And, maybe we'll spend another time on this, but there's so many side effects of statin drugs. I mean, one is obvious because it's even all over, and not so much Canadian television, but American television, okay? Where on one hand they're advertising, let's get our cholesterol down, and then on another one, and perhaps you've seen these, oh, what is my favorite supplement? CoQ10. CoQ10. Because one thing that's firmly established, and I was screaming this back in the 80s, when you take a statin drug to lower your cholesterol, you are completely ridding your body of a nutrient that your body needs. It's called CoQ10. CoQ10 works, your body makes it when you eat steak, not plants. CoQ10, you know what it does? It is essential for your battery packs in your body to work. And especially the battery packs, mitochondria, within your muscles. Now, I don't know if this makes you scratch your head or not. Think of a medication that would destroy your CoQ10. And that being good for you. It destroys CoQ10. I thought your heart was a muscle. Do you know that your heart muscle, every little fiber in there, it's got 5,000 battery packs. And they don't work without CoQ10. Why do you think I'm so big on steak? Do you think it's just because I like it? Yeah, I like it. I got to be honest with you. I love steak. But I'm telling you, my friend, that's how you get CoQ10. That's how you get it. That's why I tell you, your heart loves steak. Because it's got so much, it elevates your CoQ10. Okay. I just thought I'd bring to you these two studies and major review studies of both. Hey, interesting, isn't it? Okay, guys, we got a great week coming up. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Share this with your friends. Share it. Share the information. If they can't watch the Facebook Lives, you can share it on Facebook, or you can get them to watch the Doctor Is In podcast. And when you go in and listen to the podcast, give us a review. We appreciate it. We love those 5-star reviews. It just makes I don't even know how it works. They share it even more. The platform shares it even more. And thank you for making it a resounding success, the Doctor Is In podcast. I give you guys a high five for that. We appreciate it. Okay, we love you, and we'll talk to you soon.